good day. This is Teacher Jeans, your web teacher. So at the end of this lesson, you are expected to be able to explain the meaning, functions, types, and theories of management. So before we proceed to our proper discussion, I want to share a little story about the four people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. So there was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. So let's hit the springboard. So what does this story try to tell us? What are the points that we have to take note? What have you noticed about the character of each name mentioned? Everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. So what do you think could have happened had all of them did their job? Do you think this scenario is happening in school, at home, in any organization? So this particular scenario isn't something new for any organization. The tendency of people to assume, procrastinate, wait for directives, and rely on others often lead to failure in achieving the goal of an organization. The fact remains that the success of any organization depends on its people, as it is considered to be the company's greatest asset. So the challenging world of management begins with its workforce. So in this lesson, we will learn the nature and concepts of management, its definition, theories, and type. We will discuss briefly as to why management is considered an art or science, and its relation to the five basic functions. So the evolution of management theories for us to be able to apply in its solving simple business cases. Before we lay out the definitions of management, let us first learn its etymology. Management comes from the Italian word maneggiare, means to handle, and maneggiare derives from the Latin words manus, means to hand, and agere, to act. The simplest definition of management is given by Mary Parker Follett. So, she is an American social worker, management consultant, and philosopher who is known as a mother of modern management. So, according to Follett, management is the art of getting things done through people. So, however, most critics find this definition too constricted, as they believe that management has a wider scope about our daily life. Another definition of management comes from Henry Fayol. So, Fayolism is derived from him. So, he defines management as to manage is to forecast and to plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate, and to control. So Fayol focuses on the leaders, managers, or the chief executives of the organization and works downward to its subordinates. So he believes that managers must learn how to analyze deviations and make necessary adjustments to come up with a much feasible process. So Fayol is considered to be the father of principles of management. And one of the pillars of management during the 19th century is Frederick Taylor, who is known as the father of scientific management and the founder of Taylorism. So he defines management as an art of knowing what to do, when to do, and see what is done in the best and cheapest way. So Taylorism introduced the scientific method of enhancing the productivity of labor and eliminate wastages. The modern definition of management comes from Peter Ferdinand Drucker. So He is a management consultant, an educator, and author of about 39 books on management. So according to Drucker, management is a multi-purpose organ that manages the business and manages managers and manages workers and work. So Drucker introduced the concept of knowledge worker and capitalizing on the knowledge-based workers as thinkers in the organization. So he also introduced decentralization and simplification, outsourcing, and use of management by objectives. Before we proceed this topic, the characteristics and nature of management, about the question, management is an art or a science? So the answer is management is both science and art. It is considered as a science because managers need facts and information based on gathered data to come up with a sound solution. And it is considered as an art because managers need specific skills which are innate in a manager. And science deals with knowledge, right? And while art deals with the application of the knowledge through the use of skills. The characteristics and nature of management. First, management is goal-oriented. Why? Management is not an end itself. It is a means to achieve a certain goals. Management has no justification to exist without goals. And management goals are called group goals or organizational goals. So the basic goal of management is to ensure efficiency and economy in the utilization of human, um, physical, and financial resources. So the success of management is measured by the extent to which the established goals are achieved. Thus, the management is goal-oriented, the management is purposeful. Number two, management is universal. So management is an essential element of every organized activity, irrespective of the size or the type of the activity. And management, of course, is continuous process. So the cycle of the management continues to operate as long as there is organized action for the achievement of group goals. And management is an ongoing process and is also a never-ending process. So management is dynamic and the cycle is continuous. Number four, management is considered to be multidisciplinary. Why? Because management techniques, principles, and theories are drawn from other disciplines such as engineering, anthropology, sociology, and psychology. So it depends on wide knowledge and practice derived from various disciplines. The fifth one, we have management is intangible force. Management is evidenced by the results of its efforts through other. And management is unseen and invisible force. So it cannot be seen, and even though it cannot be seen, its presence can be felt in the form of results in every type of organization. The sixth one, we have management is situational. So there is no best way of doing things, right? So to solve a particular problems, conditions, and situations must be taken into account. In management also is a system of authority. It provides the direction of every activity of an organization, and it forms system of authority or a hierarchy of command to control the activities and give smooth direction. The last one, we have management is both a science and an art. So as what I have said, management is considered both. Science, again, is a systematized body of knowledge based on certain principles that are generally applied, and scientific knowledge is observed through the process of critical and continuous observation and intelligent speculation. So, accordingly, management as a science is based on principles instead of a traditional way of doing things in the trial and error method. As mentioned earlier, management is universal and dynamic that any period in its evolution involves an interface of segments that cannot be divided or separated in different aspects. So this means that each period from here to here is a part of the development and evolution of the other, and the specific phase of management that we will discuss here are just highlights of events during various periods. And I did not put dates here because dates, there are no specific dates actually when one study or approach started and ended. So the theory, first management theory for organization is scientific management. So scientific management is defined as the use of scientific method to determine the one best way for a job to be done. So the most significant contributor in this field is no other than Frederick Taylor. So who is known as the father of scientific management. So using his principles of scientific management, Taylor was able to define the one best way for doing each job. And he made a scientific study of workers, machines, in the workplace by using the method of standardization of parts, uniformity of work structure, and assembly line. And another one, the Gilberts Frank and Lillian, so one of the great husband and wife tandem of science and engineering, were inspired by Taylor's work and proceeded to study and develop their methods of scientific management. So they devised a classification scheme to label 17 basic hand motions called Terbligs, not Terbligs. So it derived from Gilbert, spelled backward, to eliminate wasteful motions, thereby increasing productivity. So it's motionless. So to date, here, scientific management continues to be the foundation and basis for continuous improvement in productivity and efficiency regarding quality and cost. The second one, we have administrative management theory. So the theories to emerge in this group focused more on the entire organization. So by developing general theories of what managers do and what comprised well management practice. And one of the most famous personalities during this era was Henry Fayol. So Fayol emphasized how different a manager's role was from other usual business functions. So he stated the 14 principles of management. So the first one, we have division of work. So in practice, even in the current practice, employees are specialized in different areas and they have different skills. So different levels of expertise can be distinguished within the knowledge areas. So it could be from generalist to specialist. And the personal and professional development support this. According to Henry Fayol, specialization promotes efficiency of the workforce and increases productivity. So in addition, the specialization of the workforce increases accuracy and speed. So this management principle of the 14 principles of management is applicable to both technical and managerial activities. So it's better that the one assigned for the specific task is expert to it. The next one, we have authority and responsibility. So this should be authority and responsibility. So in order to get things done in an organization, management has the authority to give orders to the employees. So of course, with this authority comes responsibility. According to Henry Fayol, the accompanying power or authority gives the management the right to give orders to the subordinates, and the responsibility can be traced back from performance, and it's therefore necessary to make agreements about this. In other words, authority and responsibility go together and they're two sides of the same coin. And this third principle of the 14 principles of management is about obedience. So it is often a part of the core values of a mission statement and vision in the form of good conduct and respectful interaction. So have you observed now in most, not most, but all of the organizations have vision and mission statements. So this management principle is essential and is seen as the oil to make the engine of an organization run smoothly. The fourth one, you have unity of command. So the management principle, this one, means that an individual employee should receive orders from one manager and that the employee is answerable to that manager. So if tasks and related responsibilities are given to the employee by more than one manager, this may lead to confusion, which may lead to possible conflicts for employees. So by using this principle, the responsibility for mistakes can be established more easily. So if you are a rank and file employee, please report to your direct head. For example, if you are a crew, you should report to your team leader, not directly to the manager. And the next one, you have unity of direction. So this is all about focus and unity. So all employees deliver the same activities that can be linked to the same objective. So all activities must be carried out by one group that forms a team. And these activities must be described in a plan of action. So it's very important to have an action plan before implementing the activities. And the manager is ultimately responsible for this plan and he monitors the progress of the defined and planned activities. So focus areas are the efforts made by the employees in coordination. So the number 6 of the principles of management, 14 principles of management, is the subordination of individual interests to group of interests. So there are always all kinds of interests in the organization, right? So in order to have an organization function well, Henry Fayol indicated that personal interests are subordinate to the interest of the organization, or what we called ethics. So the primary focus is on the organizational objectives and not on those of the individual. So this applies to all levels of the entire organization, including the managers. The next one, you have the remuneration. So here, motivation and productivity are close to one another as far as the smooth running of an organization is concerned. And this management principle, this one, remuneration, argues that that this should be sufficient to keep employees motivated and productive. So there are two types of remuneration. First one, we have non-monetary. So it could be a compliment, an award, a recognition, a certificate, more responsibilities, or credits. And the other one is monetary, of course, compensation, bonus, or other financial compensation. So ultimately, it is about rewarding the efforts that have been made by the employees. And the eighth one, we have centralization. So management and authority for decision-making process must be properly balanced in our organization. This depends on the volume and size of an organization, including its hierarchy. Self-centralization implies the concentration of decision-making authority at the top management. Sharing of authorities for the decision-making process with the lower level. So it could be from middle and lower management. So it is referred to as decentralization by Henry Fayol. And it indicated that an organization should strive for a good balance in this. No? So it is very important. So the um, the basis for this would be the organizational structure of your company. So the ninth one, we have the scalar chain. So hierarchy presents itself in any given organization. So the various from senior management to the lowest level in the organization. So it is a hierarchy. So management principle states that there should be a clear line in the area of authority. So from top to bottom and all managers at all levels. So this can be seen as a type of management structure. So each employee can contact a manager or a superior in an emergency situation without challenging the hierarchy. So you can also base the organizational structure of your company, especially when it concerns reports about calamities to the immediate managers or supervisors. So organizational structure in your company is very important too. And the 10th one, we have order. So according to this principle, employees in an organization must have the right resources at their disposal so that they can function properly in an organization. So in addition to social order, the responsibility of the managers, the work environment must be safe, clean, and tidy. So for number 11, we have equity. So the management principle of equity often occurs in the core values of an organization. So according to Henry Fayol, employees must be treated kindly and equally. So from the word equally, so employees must be in the right place in the organization to do things right, and managers should supervise and monitor this process, and they should treat employees again fairly and impartially. So number 12, we have stability. So um, this means stability of tenure of personnel. So this management represents deployment in managing of personnel, and this should be in balance with the service that is provided from the organization. So management strives to minimize employee turnover and to have the right staff in the right place. So focus areas such as frequent change of position and sufficient development must be managed well. The 13th one, we have initiative. So Henry Fayol argued that with this management principle, employees should be allowed to express new ideas. So this encourages interest and involvement and creates added value for the company. So there should be an innovation from the employees, and the employee initiatives are a source of strength for the organization according to Henry Fayol. So this encourages employees not to be involved and be interested to the things they do and to the things they work to. And the last one, we have the esprit de corps. So the management principles, this one stands for striving for the involvement and unity of the employees. So managers are responsible for the development of morale in the workplace, so individually and in the area of communication. So before this one, no, so in conclusion on the 14 principles of management, so it can be used to manage organizations and are useful tools for forecasting, planning, process management, organization management, decision making, coordination, and also control. No, so although they are obvious, many of these matters are still used based on common sense in current management practices and organizations, and it remains a practical list with focus areas that are based on Henry Fayol's research, which still applies today due to a number of logical principles. So let's proceed. We have the third one, behavioral management theory. So this behavioral management theory is often called a human relations management or human relations movement. So the behavioral management theory focuses on the human aspect of work. So during the 20th century, management principles were not able to address many management situations, specifically those that deals with human behavior. So theorists then believed that a better understanding of human behavior while at work improved productivity and that employees are not machines but are considered to be valuable assets in the organization. So Elton Mayo, a Harvard researcher, followed Hawthorne studies did by some of his colleagues on the productivity of the employees working at the Western Electric Company in Chicago from 1924 to 1932. So the first experiment, no, tested the relationship of lighting levels to worker productivity. So the results showed, no, so the results showed that lighting has no effect on the increase or decrease of effort an employee exerts. So whether there is a good lighting condition or not, the productivity of employees remains the same as they know that they are being observed. So a few years later, no, Mayo and his team conducted another experiment, and this time they supervised 5 group of women in a bank wiring room. So they gave these women special attention and privileges such as take rest intervals, leave the workplace without asking permissions, and give incentives such as free lunches and day offs on special occasions. So this experiment notably increased production rates. So Mayo concluded out of this experiment that change of lighting does not have anything to do with productivity, but rather the supervisory tasks are given to these 5 women, empower them to work harder. So as pioneers of the experiment, they became primary supervisors as they set an example, no, and influenced the work attitude of the employees under their supervision. So this experiment became known as the Hawthorne effect. So it stresses the human relations and social needs of workers as crucial aspects of management. So the next one we have here, Abraham Maslow, an American psychologist, created the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this is a theory based on his assumption of the human needs. So this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So first, they have human needs are never completely satisfied. So human behavior is purposeful and is motivated by the need for satisfaction, and needs can be classified according to the hierarchical structures of importance from lowest to highest. So this one, Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, helped managers to understand, visualize, and create employee motivation. So first, we have this one, physiological needs. So this pertains to all physical needs necessary for the maintenance of human well-being, such as food, here, air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction. Next one, we have safety needs. So these requirements include the need of basic security, stability, and protection. So one of these needs are satisfied. So once this one are satisfied, they can accomplish more. So what involves here are personal security, employment, resources, health, and property. So health is very important. And the next one we have love and belonging. So these needs follow after the physical needs have been satisfied. And the need for friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection, fame, no, not fame, but belongingness, no, became a primary motivator. So this one for the esteem needs, you have the self-esteem, respect, status, recognition, strength, freedom. Now the one I mentioned, no, fame. Um, the last one we have the self-actualization needs. So After all the needs have been satisfied, here an individual feels the need of finding himself. So he has a desire to become the most that one can be. And the fourth one, we have management science theory. So according to the principles of management notes, management science theory is known as a quantitative approach to management. So this uses quantitative techniques in decision making. So this approach includes applications of statistics, optimization models, information models, and computer simulation. So the management science theory originated during the World War II as mathematical and statistical solutions to military problems were developed for wartime use. So management science theory contributes to managerial decision making, particularly in planning and controlling. And the last one, we have organizational environment theory. So by late 1960s, the theorists recognized that human factor alone is not a consideration to achieve organizational effectiveness. So they understood that an organization is a part of a larger environment outside its boundaries and is affected by social, technical, and economic factors, which are in a form of a um, system systems perspective based on physical sciences. So there are two basic types of systems: the closed system and the open system. So this closed system has no interaction with its environment. The open system, on the other hand, is interacts with its environment. So knowing and using this system approach will help managers visualize the organization as a whole and would help in coordinating the work activities as one. So realizing that decisions, actions, and plans taken will affect the entire organization. So that's all for this week. Next chapter, we will discuss the functions of manager, the management roles, and responsibilities. Thank you so much. Till next time.